Halo knows Ellerbe says Canelo isn't pound for pound. Look at the guys he fought recently. He says Terence Crawford is pound for pound number one.
Is Canelo pound for pound number one for you at the moment? No. I think he's a tremendous fighter. I still personally say Terence Crawford. I know he's been inactive. And it takes nothing away from Alvarez because, but the level of guys that he's fought recently, I mean, it is what it is. You gotta call it what it is. And not I mean, come on, man. Let's face it. We know who he's fought recently. And that has nothing to do with him being a great fighter because I truly think that he's a great fighter. But there are guys out there that will give him a better run.
I mean, let's call it spade a spade. How you gonna say look at the guys he fought recently? He fought Callum Smith in December, the number one super middleweight at 168, who hold the Ring Magazine, which is the lineal belt, the WBA and the WBC belt. Also winner of the Super 6 tournament, the same tournament that Andre Ward won and people get hell of a props for. And then in May, he recently faced Billy Joe Saunders, another undefeated champion who had the WBO belt. The same Billy Joe Saunders who defeated Martin Murray, who defeated David Lemieux, former world champion at 160, Willie Monroe Jr., Andy Lee, Chris Eubank Jr. when he was undefeated, 18-0, and then John Ryder, who was 15-0, Gary O'Sullivan, who was 16-0. I mean, this guy has fought better names than the guys you want him to fight. I mean, you want him to fight Demetrius Andrade, a guy who's literally hasn't fought a single former world champion or world champion at all. His two titles at 154 and at 160, he got those by a vacating title. But yeah, you're trying to discredit Canelo for fighting champions just for the simple fact these guys are European. Just because you don't know them, that don't mean they're not good. I mean, I bet you if you bring up Andre Ward, the same guy who made a living out of being European fighters and became a champion by beating up Michael Kessler, a European fighter from England as well, you'll give him a hell of a props for it. But when it comes to Canelo, you're trying to discredit him. You always try to discredit Canelo. I mean, come on. You're trying to say, how is Terence Crawford pound for pound number one? This guy, he did become undisputed at 140. He is a 3-division champion. But let's be real. At welterweight, he hasn't done jack since 2018. I mean, since 2018, he moved up to 147. Hasn't done jack. He hasn't fought a single former world champion. Yes, he did fight a world champion named Jeff Horn. The same Jeff Horn who fought Manny Pacquiao and robbed Manny Pacquiao and got a gifted decision. And that's the reason Jeff Horn was a champion. And then he fought him and took his title away from him. And that's how Terence Crawford became a 3-division world champion. So literally, this man hasn't fought a single world champion or a top contender. I mean, he fought Jose Benavidez, who people are trying to say he was such a great fighter, which at the time I didn't even know who that dude was. No one even heard of him. And then he fought a washed Amir Khan, who was inactive. And he fought a dude that you guys try to build up saying he was such a badass fighter, Mean Machine. Just for the simple fact he's undefeated. I mean, did you give Canelo credit when he fought Rocky Fielding? Hell no, right? Rocky Fielding had one loss, but he had the WBA regular belt. But you still didn't give him credit. And then guess who defeated Rocky Fielding when he was undefeated? Callum Smith. But if I say, oh, Callum Smith fought Rocky Fielding when he was undefeated, you ain't gonna give him no credit, right? So, I mean, this is the type of things we're talking about, just biased double standards. I mean, and then in November of 2020, he fought a Kell Brook, an irrelevant Kell Brook. Let's be honest, guys. I didn't even give Errol Spence credit when he fought Kell Brook back in, 2016, I believe, or 2017? I mean, he was already damaged goods when he went up and faced Triple G. I mean, Triple G broke up his orbital bone, and he just started being irrelevant. I mean, and then he still had the title at 147, and then Errol Spence went in the UK, beat him up for it, and took the belt. And then we stopped hearing in America. We stopped hearing about Kell Brook. So let's be honest. So this man's only a pound for pound guy because ESPN tries to build him up, hype him up. You know how they do, like the same thing with Lomachenko. And then just for the simple fact he was undisputed at 140. I mean, how many guys have been undisputed at 140? I mean, Josh Taylor's undisputed at 140. Oh, but he's not a 3-division champion. I mean, shit. Canelo's 4-division champion, bro. He's been unified at 154, 160, now 168, and he's going for undisputed as well. And you try to, and then he's fought 17 champions. Come on, man. I mean, he's fought 7 Hall of Famers, or guys are gonna be future Hall of Famers, some of them. So let's be honest, it's not even Canelo's a pound for pound number 1, number 2, number 3. No one even comes close right now. I mean, let's be honest, guys. They be trying to give these fighters credit for fighting top 5, top 10, top 3 guys, but yet Canelo fights the champions who are above them, and then y'all try to discredit him somehow. Like, oh, like who's Billy Joe Saunders, undefeated world champion? Who's Callum Smith, undefeated world champion? I mean, then he's gonna fight Caleb Plant, another undefeated world champion. who in my opinion, and I know many in the U.S. think Caleb Plant is very good. I don't know what the hell they be smoking, but I think Canelo's gonna beat him within 5 rounds. I've been saying this. Caleb Plant's gonna be the easiest guy Canelo's gonna be facing at 168. At 168, I had Billy Joe Saunders always as number one, but they had Callum Smith, which is fair enough. And then Billy Joe Saunders was number two, David Benavidez was number three, and Caleb Plant was the number four. So I mean, we'll see what happens, you know. But just because these guys are promoters or boxers, that doesn't mean they know what the fuck they're talking about, bro. I know a lot of people be trying to say, oh, this guy said this guy said that. Yeah, I mean, that don't mean nothing, bro. Now, when we talk about who's better, that becomes just your subjective opinion, right? The eye test. But when we say who's pound for pound, we're going based on resume. We're going based on who they fight. I mean, some people like to say, oh, skill-wise. Yeah, but anyone could look good against fighting nobodies. I mean, anyone could look like they're such a badass fighter when they fight nobodies. Yet they fight a guy who's elite or just good, and it gives them a tough fight. They look normal. It's the same thing. So let's not be hypocrites and let's not contradict ourselves. Because if we say, oh, Canelo looks good against these guys, and then you don't say the same shit about those other guys, right? Like, y'all try to say Canelo looked good against, because Colin Smith, right, tried to discredit him not being a world champion, not being undefeated. And y'all try to give Terence Crawford credit for fighting a guy who's not even a top contender in his division, Jose Benavidez or Kell Brook or Amir Khan, right? Even Terence Crawford, his next opponent, is going to be a guy not even at welterweight, a 140. Top rank Bob Arum trying to make Josh Taylor versus Terence Crawford. So even to this day, since Terence Crawford moved up to 147 and back in 2018, I've been waiting for him to fight a top 5 welterweight. But yet, to this day, like Deontay Wilder said, in 2021, Terence Crawford hasn't faced top welterweight. People say, oh, who do you think beats him? I mean, Errol Spence, Sean Porter, who guys going to give him a tough fight? But we won't know until we see that fight. Yeah, you could say Terence Crawford beats all these guys, but we won't know until we see it.
Can't beat Caleb. Why not? Because Caleb has all the wrong things for him. He has all the wrong things for him. Trust and believe. See, because what you guys have only seen is just glimpses of Plant. Because again, everybody don't rise to the occasion of the level of opponent that they face. But given the opportunity on the big stage against a big name, and styles make fights, he has everything that he needs to beat Canelo. Everything. Y'all say he can't punch. Well, he can punch. He can punch. You know, he's a tremendous boxer. He has great defensive skills. You know, but more importantly, he's a thinking fighter. He's a thinking fighter. And people always tend to miscalculate those kind of things. And I think that's one of his biggest advantages going into the Canelo fight. That's just my opinion.
So when Canelo beats this guy within 5 rounds or whatever rounds it was, they better give this man his damn credit. I mean, Andre Ward, even Timothy Bradley think Caleb Plant beat Canelo. So let's see. When Canelo beats him, I just want to hear these guys just give him props. Just let the bell ring, man. Leave a comment, hit that like button, subscribe. Till next time.